unbelievably, I somehow have more books again to share with you today, so despite the fact that I bought and hauled over 30 books last month, that has not stopped me in my tracks at all this month, but thankfully it is a more reasonable book haul, but that is what we're going to be looking at today. Hi guys, my name is Kirsty and welcome back to Upside Down Books. I honestly do only have a few books to show you today, but it's still a little decent number of books considering how many books I bought last month and still have yet to read most of them. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 6 physical books to show you, 2 of which were sent to me, so I only bought 4. And I think I have an audiobook to share with you as well, so we're just going to get into it and keep this short and sweet with any luck and tell you a little bit about why I'm excited about these books and why they had me so excited that they were worth buying after such a big haul. I'm going to start this video by showing you the books that were sent to me for review so that I can feel less guilty about how many books I'm still hauling today, but it's fine. Everything's totally under control. I do not have a ridiculous TBR that is, you know, it's all fine. I definitely have more read books than unread books. That's not a lie. It's a lie. So the first book that I was sent, I'm actually really excited to read, and I had temporarily forgotten about it for a couple of days, and that is Four Dead Queens by Astrid Schott. And I believe this one has been very hyped and talked about in the YA world over the last few weeks. I have no idea when I'm going to get time to read this one. I want to say soon, but there are some other books. I know that I'm currently reading a book of my choice that has been given to me as a gift and not an ARC at the moment, which is really exciting. But the next book I'm going to be reading is another ARC, but not this one, because the publishers have been asking if I have read it yet, and I was like, I'm getting to it. So I really want to read this one, and I really want to hear more people's thoughts about it, because I haven't seen as much about it as I want, which I'm not sure if is just me not looking for stuff on the internet, because I don't have a life, I'm so busy right now, but that's beside the point. This one sounds amazing. It's about 4 queens, a divided nation. I think there's going to be magic. I hope there's magic. If there's no magic, I'll be sad. Nope, I don't think there is magic. Wow, is this an epic fantasy book without magic? That has got to be the first in a really long time. So the premise of this book is the main character steals a package, and she is a really skilled thief, but the knock-on effect of her stealing this package ends up with the kingdom's, all 4 of the kingdom's queens being murdered. And I immediately feel like we're gonna get the Graceling trilogy. What is that called? It's not called the Graceling. I can't remember what that's called. Kristin Cashaw's book. I don't know. Immediately I am hoping for those sort of vibes with Katza, because she was an awesome hardcore character, and that's the first thing that my brain has thought of. I think it's a really interesting premise. I am so like weirdly excited and not disappointed that there's not going to be magic in this, unless there is and it's just not on the blurb. But anyway, thank you very much to Alan Unwin for sending me this. I can't wait to read it, and when I get time in my life I will get around to it. This will happen. I will read it eventually. Oh, when's it coming out? I have no idea. Just have to find. Okay, I've got my book here of all of the things coming out. I do not have an exact publishing date, but it is coming out this month in March. I'm pretty sure. I feel like I've already seen it on the shelves. I should really get on to reading it whilst it's current, but it's coming out soon, so you guys can all have your pretty copies of it as well. The second book that was sent to me was The Glove Maker by Anne Weisgarber, and that one was sent to me by Pam Macmillan. I am actually really looking forward to reading this one. I think it's a really cool little cover, and it's coming out, sorry, it has already come out on the 26th of February, so this one is already out and released into the wild. I was sent this at the beginning of Feb, but I've not had a chance to pick it up yet, although it's quite a small, this book is really short. It's less than 300 pages, and it's like in big font and everything. This is set in the year 1888. It's set in Utah and follows a female lead character who is a glove maker. Truth be told, I don't need to read more than that. I have been to Utah. It's one of the weird places in the world that I have actually somehow been to, and the fact that it's set in the 19th century and is about a skilled trade like making gloves has me very excited. There's lots of ticks in boxes there for things that make me want to pick this up. The premise of this story sort of starts up when the main character of this book, Deborah, she's waiting for her husband to return home from something, and when this date comes up when he's supposed to return home and passes and he doesn't come home, she gets into a little bit of uncertainty and trouble, and she basically thinks he's dead. With her husband away and potentially dead, another person, a man, turns up on her door and is desperate and asking for help, and he is where the trouble comes in. He asks for a place to sleep overnight, but it's in the middle of January, it's like a harsh winter, it's very cold and bitter, and Deborah knows that the only reason that someone like him would be passing through her town at that point in the year would be because if he was on the run. And I believe she ends up getting all entangled with all of the stuff that follows from that. So this sounds like a really good, and I think it'll be quite an addictive little historical fiction drama. I've not heard anything or seen anything about this book except for the fact that it was sent to me to read. So if you've read this one or you heard about this one or you're excited about this one, I would love to hear your thoughts about it, because I am definitely intrigued to pick this one up. But once again, goodness knows when that's going to happen. Hopefully soon. Hopefully soon I will get through a lot of these arcs. They are on my priority, so I'll be reading them sooner than any of the other books I'm about to show you. I recently changed jobs. And with that change of jobs, I was given a gift certificate as a leaving gift, which was very kind. And that was a gift voucher for my local bookstore. And of course, I went and I spent it. So I went hunting and I picked up 4 new books. These books are ones that have been on my radar, and a couple of new releases, and just ones I haven't noticed in bookstores before, and thought now is a good opportunity to put it on my shelf. So none of these are high priority on my TBR. These are just there for the day when an opportunity arises for me to read them. The first one, however, I'm pretty excited about, and that is The Wood by Chelsea Bobulski. Bobulski? Why are these names so hard to say? This sounds super creepy. The premise of this one is the main character is a young girl. It's YA fantasy, I guess. It's sort of like paranormal fantasy, I think. And her father is like the guardians of this portal in the woods. And he dies, and it becomes her role to guard the portal. Or he doesn't die, but just vanishes. He's not there anymore. So these woods are super sinister, they're poisoned, creepy things are happening in them, and they're just bad news. There are vicious creatures hiding in them, and I'm hoping that means we're going to get some really exciting, terrifying monsters from the paranormal world come out to play. And also the main character's name is Winter, and then a guy called Henry turns up. So the blurb says that Henry is from the 18th century. But the way that it's said makes me question whether the book is set in the 18th century, because he says he's a man from the 18th century rather than being like, this is set in the 18th century. So I'm actually really curious to read this and know what period this is set in. I don't know. It's a big mystery. Everything about this book is a mystery, and I'm really excited. I've not heard much about this one either. I think it's a relatively new release that I had my eye on, but I'm pretty excited to pick this up. I think I will have to find an afternoon at some point where I just need to go and binge the whole story, because it's a pretty small book and I think it'll be really hard to put down. The next book that I bought I was super excited about because it's one of my favourite authors and a book that I meant to pre-order when it came out, but I just never got around to it, and that is Dreamfall by Amy Plum. I love Amy Plum's writing. Amy Plum wrote the Die For Me trilogy, and that's set in Paris and it's about revenants. Go and read the series if you're interested in working out what a revenant is. Absolutely awesome. Such a good trilogy. One of my favourite trilogies out there. She then also wrote Before, After the Beginning and Before the End. I can't remember which way around that duology goes. And that one has a very interesting post-apocalyptic, but like fake post-apocalyptic vibes going for it. So I just find Amy Plum to have some really cool, unique and interesting ideas. This one is about a group of kids who have issues with insomnia, so they sign up to do these testings to try and cure insomnia, and I think everything basically goes wrong. The equipment malfunctions during the test and they all get stuck, plunged into a nightmare world. So there are monsters from their imaginings. I don't know how this book will get resolved. It's part of a series. I'm very excited. It's a really short read, so I am thrilled. I've heard some good things about this one, some positive reactions for it, so I was super excited to see this on the shelves of the store, and I immediately took it and I brought it home. Now the next book I was actually surprised to see in the bookstore because I didn't think this was a particularly popular release. It was one that I had on my radar in the month of when it came out a few months ago, and I haven't really seen very many people other than me talking about it, but it made it to my bookstore, and usually that means at least if it's in the bookstore there's a few people out there that like it. And that is Even the Darkest Stars, which has a gorgeous cover. This one is something to do with navigating a journey, a female character and stars. Seems probably fairly self-explanatory, but I have been really excited about this book and I was so tempted to buy it, but I think at the time when it came out I already had so many books that I drew the line at this one. But I am super excited to read this. I think it'll be a bit of a slow burn. I just have a feeling. It looks like a big book, but the writing isn't too big at the very least. But it's about the Emperor's royal explorers, and our main character wants to become a royal explorer. So the climbers, the elite climbers, are tasked with mapping the mountains, the wintry mountains of the Empire. And then they get to spy on the enemies. And just the whole concept of doing like cartography, I just love. So I was just sold on that from the beginning, not gonna lie. The plot kind of gets a bit twisty and turny when a really famous one of these explorers comes to the main character's town, and she has an older sister who is rightfully the one that this person should be hiring as an apprentice, but instead she is picked over her older sister. And everyone's a bit like, what? Anyway, sounds like a bunch of challenges. I think there's going to be a little bit of rivalry between the sisters. I'm just really excited. I'm hoping we'll get some nice epic fantasy vibes like from Falling Kingdoms or even Aragon, just that sort of nitty-gritty world. Or do you know what this is actually reminding me of? What is that book called? By Naomi Novik. What is the name of that book? It will come to me. It will come to me. I will remember it. I will not remember it. Okay, we're gonna look up. Uprooted, that's it. So I am, pretty excited about this book and was thrilled to find it in the bookstore. So I have a copy of it. How exciting. The final physical book that I got, I had been on and off sort of debating whether to buy it or not, and that was Circle of Shadows by Evelyn Skye. Now this one is a new release. It came out this year, I think in January or the beginning of February, so I've been, I think January. And I've had my eye on it. I have managed to accrue a lot of books that came out in January. January was an amazing month of releases and there were so many exciting things that came out, and this was one of them. But I was only able to find the really tall and big version of it, which I'm not a fan of, but I couldn't find anything else. So I decided to just pick up a copy because I did. I'm not gonna lie. I could not really give you an accurate summary of what this is about, other than the fact that it's about a leading woman who has a demon, and they fight together, and they're super awesome and do really cool assassin-y ninja things. That's the main vibes that I get from this, and I don't really know exactly what direction this is going in. I get a bit lost. It's one of those blurbs where I read it and I get confused instantly. So I would recommend going and having a read of the blurb for this yourself, but I think it's got a really eye-catching cover, and I'm definitely gonna put aside a little bit of time to read this because it's a bit of a chunky book, but I have seen some things but not many things about this. I think this one is lurking on a few other people's TBRs, but I'm yet to hear much about it, as with apparently everything else on my TBR for this particular haul. So that brings me to what audiobook that I bought. The latest audiobook that I bought was Thunderhead, which is the sequel and follow-up to Scythe by Neil Shusterman, and I'm really excited about this one. I was kind of on the fence about whether I wanted to read a physical copy of the follow-up, but then if I did that I would have had to have also bought the physical copy of Scythe, which I would like to do, but that's a bit excessive to have to. Anyway, point is, ended up going with the audiobook, and it is the next one to read on my list. So I'm currently listening to Heroes by Stephen Fry, which I bought last month. I am so amazingly on top of my audiobooks. It's really impressive. I wish my physical TBR was like that, but it's really not. But that's okay. It's fine. Everything's under control. I am very excited to read this. I have heard nothing, literally, but good things about this series, and for great reasons as far as I can tell. We left on such a wicked cliffhanger on the first book, so if you haven't read this series yet, you really should. This has got hype for a reason. Very good reason. But those are all the books that I have to haul for February. God knows how many books I'm going to have for March. I do actually have another gift voucher, and quite a decent one to spend, and I'm waiting for the right time to jump online and buy like 5 books or something, but I think I probably need 1 or 2 months to just focus on getting some reading done. So I would love to know if you have heard about these books, if you're excited for them, if you've read them. I'd really like to hear if anyone's got any thoughts on The Woods, because I just know nothing about that from readers' perspectives. But other than that, I will see you in my next video. Goodbye.